Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. On this episode, we welcome Chris Cheng and Derek Yu. They're two high school students out of Port Moody Secondary School who competed in the Coquitlam Public Library's Science Expo and placed first prize in the seniors category. Check out how they won and see where they're going after high school, because these two kids are brilliant and you don't want to miss this episode. Check it out. Derek, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself. I know you guys recently won at the Coquitlam Library Science Expo in the seniors division. You won first place with your, I guess you can show it right now if you want. You won it with this right here. And then you can explain this to me because, hey, I'm very interested in sciences, but it's definitely not something I have much knowledge in. So
So this is our project from Science Expo that we won first for, using delta wave propagation to induce sleep in space. Sounds super fancy, actually kind of is super fancy, but basically his kind of interest in science is more like astro. I'm more of like interested in like neuroscience, that kind of stuff. And so we thought like we could combine our ideas, and that's kind of what we came up with. If you want to give like a quick summary.
Yeah, so essentially the science exposition required us to come up with a interesting technology, just an idea. So the problem we are trying to tackle here is the lack of sleep in space. So by many surveys done by NASA or the Canadian Space Agency, they have shown that astronauts don't get enough sleep in space. And obviously you want just astronauts to be really well rested. Yeah. So we want to find a way to improve their sleep. Now, some of the problems present is the constant sunrises and sunsets they experience on the space shuttle, because they orbit around the Earth very quickly.
For sure, yeah.
As well as the loud noises from the machinery. So we have come up with a few solutions to those problems.
Yeah, some of them is delta wave propagation. So delta wave is a really slow type of brainwave that your neurons experience. Neurons are just your brain cells. And usually we have an 8-hour sleep cycle where there's different stages, and in each stage there's different wave frequencies that you can measure. As you can see, there's gamma, beta, alpha, theta, delta, all that kind of stuff. And usually when you don't get enough good sleep, it's because you're lacking the fourth stage, the deepest stage, where there's a lot of delta waves, which are the slowest. So our idea is to attach electrical probes to the ends of an electroencephalogram, which is a huge mouthful, but it's basically just a kind of equipment to monitor your brainwaves. And instead of monitoring it, we're attaching and sending electrical signals in to propagate and to kind of force your brain into that electrical sleep 8-hour pattern. Yeah.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah.
But that's amazing, guys. Like, what drove you to these passions for science?
I mean, you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys put it aside.
So, like Derek mentioned, I'm very interested in astronomy and
Stars and stuff. Yeah.
Stars and stuff. Yeah.
Same here, man.
Space science. I would think my interest first sparked when the James Webb Space Telescope launched in late 2021. It was a pretty big story, and I have always been interested in space, but that was the critical moment, the pivot point, where I decided to do more research and more develop further in that area. And ever since then, I've been working at different. I've been interning at some space agencies, and I've been involved in some pretty good academic programs about astronomy.
Harvard School.
Crazy. Nice. Yeah. Congrats, man. That's wicked. That's such an interesting topic. I mean, like, even with the crazy stuff that's going on with space that they're talking about now, like it's I think we've come so far, and I know my lifetime and your lifetime, like where we're going to be 5-10 years from now, what we know about space is absolutely going to be astounding. So it definitely, I think, is a field to get involved in, or just put a lot of interest in right now. That's definitely something smart to do, I think.
Yeah.
And what kind of sciences really drove you to?
I guess for me, my focus is more on neuroscience, and I don't think there's, unlike Chris, where he had like one event. For me, it's mostly like an interest in how humans work, because I feel like there's so many unexplained things, like why we feel certain ways, why we get like jealous of people, why we get like mad or we get happy about stuff. And it's super interesting because neuroscience takes all that kind of stuff and quantifies it. You can see it through like, I don't know, a 2-photon super fancy microscope. You can see it through the charts that they produce. And it's just very interesting to have like actual numerical or like physical representations of these complex things that you think probably can't be represented visually, and it's very interesting to me, at least.
Yeah, no, it's another very interesting topic that I think we as humans still don't understand.
For sure.
Just like how our brains really work and how different everyone's, due to chemical differences, everything work. And yeah, just when you get into even like dreaming and everything, I think it's amazing what I think humanity is going to figure out in the next little while.
There's so much that we don't know.
Yeah, so much that we don't know, but there's so much that we're finding out at the same time. Very recently, just on with everything. So I think it's a very good time to have this much interest in sciences, as well as just I think there's a lot of careers involved with it.
Definitely.
So many careers. It's a lot of, I know when I was growing up, a lot of my friends, we didn't think about science as a career. We just thought of it as a subject. And more, I have like my sister-in-law, she works within sciences and everything. And it seems like such an interesting career to choose because you're always learning. It's you always hear about people choosing careers that just stay stagnant and they're boring and they get bored of it and they just spend how many years in university like chasing this dream. Sciences, I feel like, is going to evolve like literally day by day, that you're going to learn every day, and I think that's where you keep your interest in it.
Yeah, I think especially with neuroscience, because we don't know so many things. There's so much opportunity. There's so many careers you could go into. There's so much unknown, and at the same time, it's so interesting. So I think that's what draws me to neuroscience a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, science, is that what both of you guys are thinking about getting into after you guys go to high school? So, right?
Yeah.
So you're at Port Moody, you said?
Port Moody, IB, grade 12.
Yeah. So are you going to be concentrating after you're done your grade 12? Or are you going to concentrate on sciences? I know you have another passion as well.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's science, which is one of my passions, and the other one, for a lot of people who know me, they know this one, music, ranked number 4 in Canada, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But music is a really hard field to go into. There's so many different nuances that go behind the scenes. In front of the scenes, there's everything. You can be ranked number 1 in Canada, for that matter, and not get an actual performing job as a piano player or a flute player or anything. Because there's a lot of really, really good musicians. That's not just performers, right? There's producers, there's composers, lyricists. There's a lot of talented people, and you only see like a few people who make it to the top. The rest have to like just settle down for teaching or have their own studio or just sample work or something like that. So I feel like music is a really interesting field that I would definitely like, even if I go into science, to have some involvement with in the future. But if I were to go into music, I would probably go to the Berklee College of Music, because I have previously worked with their professors there, gotten to know a tiny bit of how they work. And I think Berklee really prepares you for the workshop in the future. And it teaches you a lot of modern technologies in terms of production and electrical stuff that goes on with like DAWs and all that kind of stuff that other universities don't give you the chance to really understand. So I would love to go into music.
Yeah.
But you gotta consider a lot of the merits behind it.
Yeah. How about you?
So currently the plan is to go into science in
space and stuff again.
In college and perhaps postgrad.
Yeah.
So again, since 2021, I've been doing a lot of research on this area and the potential occupations. And the most likely job I will have as an astronomer is either teaching or researching, which are both highly academic and takes a lot of work. But I am dedicated. I want to dedicate my resources, my time to achieve this this goal in the future. And who knows? Maybe I'll end up at one of those agencies. Yeah.
Is there a lot of work here? Or is it a lot more in the States with like bigger agencies and everything?
So the space agency in Canada is the Canadian Space Agency, and
really? Wow.
and the most famous work that they do. Well, I guess I should say. So people know them for the arm they make on the ISS, International Space Station. It's called the Canadian arm, I think.
Wow.
Originality.
So creative.
But essentially, at Canadian Space Agency, it's a lot of engineers, but I really want to study the theories.
Yeah.
So that means probably I need to attend to a pretty prestigious schools to study the most advanced physics.
We're getting some college application here. Okay.
Yeah.
Sneaking it in.
Yeah, there's probably some amazing universities around North America that offer programs for that field. I think it's just going to get more and more interest in it. Like I said, just with the news lately, you don't know what's real all of the time. There's a lot of stuff nowadays, but just if for any reason this like UFO stuff and everything is real, that's an amazing thing to learn about and study and get paid to do it too. That'd be amazing.
Chris, I think they're real.
I mean, there are evidences, but we need to wait
do you think they're real?
I'm sure there are UFOs.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not the ones we're seeing right now, but you know.
I think they're real. That's my personal.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I also I don't know, like with the neurosciences, like something that you could combine the two interests.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
yeah,
because,
like a project. Yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, music going side to side with how your brain works.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How it affects your mood, like literally, it is a science in its own.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something I could see. Like, I don't know if people really study that, if there is much in that, but like it should be, because it's proven with music how it depends. It doesn't matter what like emotion you're feeling at that point. If you connect with music, like what it can do for you it's literally saved lives, right?
Yeah.
So we know it's a lot nicer nowadays for people's mental health. It's in the forefront. Obviously, people know that if people need help mentally. It's been a very stressful little bit of time on this planet. So people need that mental health, and the combination of music to mental health. I know people that are like in the industry of mental health, they wrap those two together.
Yeah, music therapy is like a really like evolving field right now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter like what you connect to too, like the amount of genres there are, but just like even when it is memory based. So like if you have good memories from a certain era that remind you of stuff, whether like it doesn't matter how you're feeling. Like I said, that it's if you've had really some hardships, either listening to music that will remind you of those, but build you up or bring you out of it by giving you more, like thinking about more cheerful times in your life. It's amazing. And I mean, yeah, you're playing piano. That's I find, as a musician, that's gotta be very mentally like relaxing and stimulating if you've had a hard day.
Oh God. Yeah, I love playing piano. I don't love practicing. I'm not talking about like practice, because I feel like, because I've interacted with a lot of families from the piano community, and a lot of them are just like, my kid has to go to ARCT, RCM. They're gonna learn about music history. But from my perspective, a lot of it is pretty useless, all the way up to ARCT. A lot of kids are like, I finally made it to ARCT, but you haven't gone to actual piano. And a lot of people hate on me for that. Like, I worked so hard to get to ARCT. But the true, like, inner beauty of piano, like, when you actually get how to express yourself, like, turn your story, turn your emotions, project your thoughts onto that instrument, make other people understand that, that's after ARCT. Like, sure, RCM levels go up to here, ARCT, the actual piano starts over here. So it's very interesting when people go up to me and are like, oh, teach me how to play RCT piano. Because I could teach a lot more by trying not to, because I feel like the actual music for me starts after you get past the I want to learn how to play scales. I want to learn how to make my hands move better. Because once you're at an actual stage where the stuff you should be practicing is not like, oh, I need to practice my octave leaps or something. Like people say, oh, that's complex. When you're actually at the level where you need to be for piano, you don't practice that anymore. You're practicing... I'm focusing on... Actually, we had this lesson once with my professor. The first bar of, I think it was a Haydn song. I'm not the biggest Haydn fan, but there were 4 chords. Duh, 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 duh. That was literally it. We spent 2 hours figuring out the 4 chords. And it wasn't the notes. It was like how I attacked the notes. Should I spin it like this, or should I spin it like this, or spin it back? How do I want this chord to project emotion? And it's just very fascinating how, there's different levels to it, and once you get to that level, it's very tiring when you're practicing, because you mentioned practicing, right? Before it's just, I'm gonna do a drill, good, I'm done. I'm doing another drill, oh, I'm getting better, yay. But when you actually get to like if we have a competition, if I have a competition coming up, I'm gonna practice like 5 to 6 hours a day probably, and obviously I'm gonna enjoy when I'm playing the entire piece through. I'm probably gonna play the entire piece through twice in that 6 hour span. The rest of it's gonna be figuring out this one note. Where do I go? Do I like do up? Do I like push it? Do I use my wrist on? Do I use my arm? And after a while, it does get really challenging and rigorous. So I have a lot of respect for professional musicians because they have to go through this every single day. But yeah.
Is that why you enjoy jazz more? Because you get
Oh yeah, jazz is improv.
Yeah.
You have to like, oh, I'm gonna figure out exactly how Beethoven wanted this note to go. I'm gonna figure out exactly how you should play. Just play, man. Just have fun with jazz. That's why I like jazz a lot.
Yeah. Just like being able to just be creative and not having that structure. And I feel like that's so much of how you create new genres. Everything people have just broken down barriers, brought instruments into genres that didn't make sense before. It's how you play. Like you can have an amazing pianist play in a heavy metal band. Like you hear that and you've seen it before, and it's that passion of how they play, and it's art. And that's the thing. Like I feel like it's right now is a time that artists are finally being able to succeed because business and art go hand in hand. That thanks to social media in a way, because you have to be able to promote yourself. Well, it doesn't matter what you are, business. If you're just trying to be a content creator, if you're if you're trying to promote anything now, you have to kind of incorporate a form of art to promote yourself, whether it be video, photography, there's just putting your music out there. You really, that's everything now. So like artists, you can combine them and actually make money doing it if you aren't the stubborn artist that is like, I'm doing only my thing and I'm gonna make it doing this, and I just want to be a superstar. No, you don't realize in music that the highest paid people are the background producers.
Yeah, for sure.
They just figured out their craft, and they just they don't need that stardom, but that's what most people shoot for in the beginning. But there is so much extra like money now to be made within art, and it's difficult to tell that to people because, and especially parents and past generations, there's no way they want to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for the kids going to even music school. That was pretty rough, especially like my parents' generation. There's no way if they told their parents, even if it was Berkeley, right? Like it wasn't a paying gig. Nowadays, I think if you're creative enough, you can make pretty much anything work. And I think this is where science is. That's awesome too. Is you with being able to take your passions in something and figuring out the science behind that.
That's super cool. Yeah.
That's huge. So if you learn a ton of different kinds of sciences, and you're passionate about that, but you also have a side hustle or something that you're passionate, and just you'd be amazed. Make a podcast about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of my family friends was like, "Hey, Derek, you like music, right? You like science too. You know what you should do? You should become a dentist." Because they're like, if you're a dentist, you can work 5 hours a day, clean someone's teeth, night go play at the pub somewhere, next day repeat. I'm like, that sounds kind of good, actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's nice. It's if you have a main gig that pays you well and you do well, and then you have a side passion that doesn't matter, you just want to do it, and the money coming in doesn't matter, you will never stress about your passion. But that's what a lot of people make not a mistake, because it's always good to chase your passions. But if it's not paying your bills and you end up hating it, that I've seen it happen to too many people. I'm a pro wrestler. I do like the WWE style wrestling.
Oh wow!
I've done that since I was 15. I've had so many friends that I've had friends make it big. I've had friends that thought they were going to make it big, and they put all their eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
And by the time they're like 30 years old, they're very bitter and they don't have a lot to show for it. And it's not nice when that happens, when you take a passion and you stress out about it. I think you go in a certain direction and then you still do that, because everybody, I mean, you're into neurosciences, you know, doing what you're passionate about is such a necessity for like living your life and feeling good about it than just work.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. How did you guys, we'll go back to the diorama there. Like, how did you guys hear about the contest? What drove you to do it?
So a friend of ours is a volunteer at the library, and just one random day, he just came up to me and asked me if I heard about the event, and so he told me about the details, and he mentioned that there's gonna be prizes,
Yeah.
which is always good, so it's we all need some money to use.
Yeah.
And the next block, I had the same block with Derek, and I
Was
just
it core?
I think it was Core, yeah.
Core, okay.
And I just shared the details with him and asked if he wanted to do this together. And over the next few days, we met up and came up with our ideas. So he made a list of neuroscience ideas. I made a list of astronomy ideas. So we just crossed them, made it like a Venn diagram kind of thing. And the final one we picked out is the sleeping space.
Yeah. So how did you guys kind of brainstorm that together, or did you look it up and realize there's not really much studies on it, or were there studies that you can kind of go dig in on and realize whoa, this is actually a thing, people don't sleep up there?
Oh yeah, I think we started doing our own thing. We first individually got our list of stuff, like he said. That was his idea though. So great idea stuff.
Yeah.
So we had our list. I had my list. He had his list. We kind of compared them. Does this work with that? Does this work with that? Kind of crossing over. And then for our final one, for that idea, we did a lot of researching on Science Direct, all the science papers, just to see, is that a valid idea? Have people actually done it? And people haven't done this before, but there's been enough papers to show that we can, for example, in the neuroscience part, propagate electrical signals into the brain safely, and there's evidence that we can do our projects safely. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a huge necessity for people to be getting their sleep up in space. You never hear about that kind of stuff, how their lives are actually up there. I know it's when they get back to Earth, it's apparently very difficult to get back to normal when it comes to gravity.
Yeah, there's that one video of the guy holding a water bottle, forgets about it, it drops him.
Yeah, it's got to be just just a mind screw. It just screws up your mind and screws up everything about your body when you return to Earth. So that could also have to do with the lack of sleep they've gotten for those months to year expeditions, whatever they do up there. It's got to be a huge part of it, because people could say they can function off little amounts of sleep. I'm even one of them where I tend to, everybody says you need 8 hours. I rarely get a full 8 hours sleep. But I think it with crucial roles like that, it is definitely needed, absolutely needed. So figuring that out for them, especially with some of the expeditions they're going to plan to do in the future, if they're serious about Mars, if they're serious about all these things, that's going to be a whole nother story with if you're trying to build bases on anything and you're not getting any sleep while you're in space, or you're not going to do it well, even if those are the smartest, most brilliant minds doing it with you. If they're running off zero sleep, they're not going to be able to use their brain. That's I know as a business owner during COVID, the stress of owning a business, that your brain, I've never felt before this, my brain just feel literally it won't think. It just you actually feel, you can live your day and not feel your brain in your head. You don't feel it, right? It's there.
Yeah.
You think with it, but you don't feel it. Actually feeling it, because of just not the thought process not being there, and that was due to lack of sleep, stress, whatever. It's absolutely amazing that jobs even pilots, anything that rely on these long flights, these long hours, that they're not getting the sleep that are needed, and they have all these lives in their hand, or these serious jobs in their hand, that it's definitely needs to be figured out, right? Especially if we're putting more and more people in space. And what else? Is there anything else you guys are planning to do together in sciences, or are you?
For IB, so International Baccalaureate. So that's the program we're doing. It's the program we're doing. We have a thing called Group 4 project, which is we have to combine all the sciences together. So bio, chem, and physics. And for that project, which was end of the school year.
End of school year, June,
we did another project together. And our project was on transferring geothermal energy through isotopes into
mitochondria.
into mitochondria to produce clean power.
Yeah.
Which was just for fun, but you know, I think it was a great opportunity for us to work together again. I really enjoy working with Derek, and
Same.
hopefully for the future we get more opportunities. I'm sure the upcoming school year will have a lot of more projects coming up. So
well, it looks like you guys have fun when you're working on projects together, and that's huge because I know it's been a long time since I was in high school, but I know when I had projects and groups and stuff, if you didn't have the right group of people together, some people dreaded it, some people were enjoying doing it. If you didn't have everybody like together on it and really like just have fun with it, it never ended up the way we wanted it. And so if you guys have this great relationship, you work together, you make it fun, but the information that you're giving afterwards is so like, the value is so high. It's got to feel so much better than doing it like being stressed the whole time, not wanting to do it. This is like a volunteer thing you guys did here. This is like, prizes are great, but you guys you're high school kids. You got other things to do. You're busy. You both seem like really smart kids. So like all these universities and all these other things, and you took the time to go do this. Obviously, you guys enjoy the company and working together. Like this is what as an adult who works in business. If you guys enjoy working together now and you have these passions together, think about it in the future, working together again, taking whatever your interests are and whatever you guys go into school for, take those things and try to make it work together, because you'd be amazed how all these different industries or different sciences in your case work together. And you need, honestly, studies like this, studies like even within music and neurology, studies about space is like it's just going to be really fun for you guys, and doing it together will make it more passionate, just a higher passion on both sides. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys notice, if you're ever stuck on something, the other person, even if they're on a totally different they're into something totally different, can just solve it like that. And if you have that great relationship and not a stubborn relationship where you don't like asking for help with your business partner or your project partner, you guys will do great. And obviously you guys do that. I see you guys laughing together here. That's a huge thing too. That's just a major thing about having fun, doing what some people consider to be work, right?
For sure.
So is there anything else you guys want to talk about that you're doing in the future? Some of your plans? Like you were saying, what universities you guys are into, jobs. Like you guys are still in high school, and you're talking about these like working alongside some of the most brilliant like minds in universities and like programs. You said NASA as well, right?
Yeah.
How the heck did you get involved with these guys? Like it just through school contacts or what?
I guess you want to talk about NASA first.
Okay, so 2022 summer, I attended Harvard Summer School. It was a lot of fun, and one of my classes was astronomy.
You should tell that one story, the dorm story.
I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah. So after that, so during that program, one of our project was to model a star system, and my lab partner and I, we chose this quite well-studied system because it has a lot of data, and we ran it through a program our professor coded, and the thing that we found is that one of the planets was acting extremely weird, that it has a very irregular orbit. So we presented our findings to the professor, and he thought it was interesting too. So afterwards, we started studying it together. So right now, my lab partner and I and the professor, we are working on a paper to fully understand how this system evolved over time to have this weird orbit. And right now we have finished the preliminary stage. We are in a deeper analysis where we are running longer modeling time, and we expect to publish the paper by the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you realized that you published the paper by the end of the year?
A lot of hand gestures. Yeah. I'm aware.
That's hilarious.
I was watching you like.
And I know you talked about the chances in music as well as sciences in the future. So I really enjoy this. I love seeing this kind of passion for what you do, seeing your successes as high school students. I can tell you right now, when I was in high school, I was thinking about completely different things than what you guys are, and it's like it's just it's great to see. I wasn't. I think what I've noticed with a lot of people rag on schools nowadays, but what I've noticed is if you have an interest in something, there's way more opportunities to really study that and really get to know those topics. And when I was in high school, it was a lot more of just like, this is what you get basic knowledge. It was basic everything, and then you got that basic knowledge, and it was almost like they didn't really prepare us for thinking about really a lot of academics in university. It's bizarre, as much as crazy as it sounds. It was more of like really like start basic, learn in college, then jump to university with whatever you're interested in college. But seeing where your guys' heads are at in high school is very like just nice to see, because it definitely will be nice for you guys starting up, knowing what you want to do younger, and just using all that young energy you have to basically use that passion and do something with it. I appreciate you guys coming on, and congratulations so much for winning this. It's got to be, it must have been a fun project, and just felt good about it afterwards. And like, I'd love to hear more about, like, just find out more about this. So keep studying this, because I love space. That's honestly, I wish I could get more into it. I don't, the science behind it, not so much, but just I'm a complete nerd for it. Just what we're going to learn about. What we taught as fact 20 years ago that we now realize is not, just how much we don't know about space that we're going to find out. And we'll never know, I think, in our lifetimes, everything about it. But we'll definitely find out more and more with people like you, and more about our brains, because, man, I think we are coming a long way. Just knowing that everything is different, and everybody is programmed differently. And getting out of that box of everybody is the same. And like, I think that's how things have been structured in the past, where it's just like, you can't think outside the box on things. Everything has to be a certain way, certain direction. And I think we're breaking that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Come by the space anytime too. We love having students here. We have students that work out of here in the evenings. A lot of them do work out of here, whatever, even podcasting. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. And thank you all for watching or listening to the podcast today. It's been another great episode of PoCommunity here with Derek and Chris, and I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, as well as comment on the podcast, and let us know if you want to see any other guests on the show. Let us know. Send their info our way, or if you want to be a guest, send your info our way. Have a good one.